All right, and welcome to day 8. And I'm so happy to see a couple of projects being posted to the showcase. So I'm going to start off the day by giving some people props on their submissions. Let's look at these couple of projects. As you recall, yesterday we talked about um, sort of building your builder journal app. And I can already tell that this looks far better than what I built. Really love this one. All props to the builder, and everything works and looks absolutely beautiful. We have some prompts as well, amazing, that are added in from prior lessons. So I love that a lot. A couple of good resources added in, and honestly the layout is just beautiful. The name is also very thoughtful. I can tell that this is somebody who's been building before, so that's amazing. Let's give the shout out to the builder and make sure we follow as well. Please find her and just follow her journey. I mean, again, you can look at, she's just well started off, been doing really good since the beginning of the year. So pretty amazing. Kudos to you. All right, let's look at another one. Let's open this up and look at this project really quickly. Very similar, but again, far better to how my first original concept used to look like, right? And let's do like a quick test. Amazing. We can archive, we can delete, we can pin. Pretty awesome. Double confirmation window. Love it. Let's go to the builder profile again. Quick shout to Michelle here. Amazing work. And again, I can see that you've been hustling hard since the beginning of the year, and I hope you maintain your streak of good days. So really happy to see these. Let's move into content for day 8 and talk a little bit more about the importance of sharing and the right way to share your projects. Okay, so showcasing was where things just got real because you went out of the shell and stopped building just for yourself and for your own eyes and build ideas that only you would use. And in today's session, I'm gonna show you a couple of different ways that you can share them externally to the world. One of them was publishing, which is what we did yesterday. And then, as I said, went through the whole project showcase, right? I'm gonna talk more about collaboration with other builders today, actually. And the way to collaborate is very simple. There's a share button right here in the top right corner of your screen, which simply allows you to invite people to join your project. And you can do that in a couple of ways. One way is, and the easiest way most likely, is to create an invite link, right? With the invite link, you can select different levels of access to your project, whether you want to provide somebody with the editing access, view access, or completely disable linking. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this link, right? And you can see here that there's an alternative way, which I'm going to show you in a second. But for now, I'm just going to copy it. And then as you can see here, I'm on another browser in another account, right? And if I gave this link to someone else, right, this is what they would see. They would see that they're invited to collaborate on Builders Network by me. And then I can accept this invitation. And when I click share from this new account, I can see that this account, Lovable account, is the owner, but I am the external collaborator on the project that's been invited, right? So let's reverse that now, because we can invite people via email. So from this private account of mine that I have, I'm just going to invite. You can see I have a project with another external collaborator here. I'm going to invite my Lovable email as an editor, and it's added in as a project editor. And to see pending invites for any projects that you have, all you have to do is go back to your dashboard, right, on lovable.dev. Then there's a little inbox tab. So we talked about clicking on your profile image to access your profile and settings. Right beneath it, there's a little inbox icon which talks about all the news about what has been going on with Lovable, but also holds important information such as external project invites. So I've been added to a project as an editor. I can click to open it and now access it also from my Lovable account as a project editor. I'm not the owner. Another account of mine is, right? I can also now, because I'm an editor, invite other people to join us as well, again, using this magic link option or using the email option, right? So this is the first part of sharing things, right? Publishing was another part that we already covered, right? And the second part of the sharing side of things is mostly concerned about secure way to share access to your application. So here's how we shared builder access, but now we need to talk about sharing user access. So in the second part of today's lesson is about adding user authentication, right? And teaching you how to do that now that Lovable actually has managed Google Auth as well, so that you don't have to resort to only doing email and password, but you can go and allow your users to use their Google account or Google Workspace accounts to log in without having a single need for an API key, right? So for that purpose, we're going to use a prompt here, right? You can use a couple of options. You can use magic link logins and define different roles, right? That's what we're going to spend a little bit of time later. For now, let's take this first prompt and just ask Lovable to implement authentication with both email and password, having the ability to reset the password. And let's start with that first, right? So that there is some level of protection and some level of connection between data and data persistence for you and for all other users. Because guess what? If you start building these ideas, prompts, and managing your builder's log, how will the system know who did it, right? There needs to be some way of connecting things, right? So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to enable Lovable Cloud to build a database for our project and then use it to enable authentication. As Lovable is working on this, let's continue with prompt stacking and explaining a little bit more about Google sign-in. You've seen this a million times, but maybe you've never done it before. And until Managed Google Auth, this was one of the worst APIs in my book to work with because it's supposed to be very simple, yet it isn't as straightforward. Now, Lovable has made it so seamless. All you need is just this one very simple prompt, right? To add Google sign-in to your Lovable app using Lovable Managed Auth with the Sign in Google button on the login page, allowing people to create their profiles super seamlessly, right? All I got to do is, again, send that prompt away and let Lovable start working on that part of the application. Aside from email and password and Google Auth, there's another way, very usual way of providing people with access, which is known as the magic link option, which is basically a way to let someone authenticate without needing to previously register, right? They just receive a link via email with no password requirements whatsoever. And that usually gives them like instant access and bypasses certain levels of control. This is completely optional. I'm not going to add it today. Maybe this is a good fit for your app. I don't care so much for mine, right? And then the final step that I want to talk about for today, before I move on to show you how things look like from an authentication perspective in Lovable Cloud, is role-based access control, right? For our application, we may want to add a couple, an admin role, user role, maybe even a guest role, and just simply assign them. This app in particular, because I'm its only user right now, doesn't require it, but just for the sake of training you guys on it, let's just take this and go in here and stack that prompt in as well. And then let's just wait for Lovable to finish this process. What you can do from here is basically use your email and password to register your account. Just switch over to sign up, have your display name and email and password built out. Or we can just simply wait, which I will do in this instance, for Lovable to finish implementing the Google sign-in, because that's exactly how I want to authenticate. And as you can see, Lovable is done implementing the Google sign-in button. So let's just test it out really quickly. I'm just going to click here, and I'm going to use my Lovable account to log in. And as you can see, it beautifully displays this branded experience, asking to grant permission to my application, right? And provides me with the idea of which account am I using to authenticate. So all I'm doing here is just allowing that access. And upon that, I'm just forwarded to my profile. So you can see right here at the very bottom that I now have an account authenticated. So I know that whatever I save from here on out will be associated with that particular user account. We did a lot of things, including building the admin control levels. Let me show you that step first, right? First thing you want to do is switch over from your preview mode to cloud. You've already seen this screen in day 6, but we didn't spend any time talking about it. Today and tomorrow, this is where we're going to spend the entirety of our day, right? Let's start with authentication first, and with settings specifically. So when you click on the overview in this users panel, there's an auth settings button. Just click right there so that you can confirm 2 things: that users can sign in and sign up via email or Google. If you ever want to disable signups altogether, there's a toggle here. You just turn it on and click save. We're not going to do that right now. We want to let anyone sign up for our app, but we want to dictate under what terms. The first thing that I like to do is this. I open this email console to confirm a couple of things that I want or I don't want to allow auto email confirmations, right? In my case, I'll allow it for now. It's not something that you need to do. Later down the road, you may want to let people actually have to confirm this over and over again. Another thing that I want to do and I like to do is turn on this password check, because there are a lot of leaked passwords out there, a lot of weak passwords, and let's help our users by not allowing them to use them, right? There's a known database that Lovable has capability of tracking, and I always like to do that first to avoid any security warnings about this later down the road as well. Because we prompted Lovable to do so, you can see that Google, managed by Lovable, has been enabled. There's nothing for you to do here. However, if you want to update your branding or you want to have full control, you can do that as well. You just have to input your own credentials in the form of client ID and client secret and a couple of other details inside the Google console. Personally, I'm totally fine with Lovable managing this for me. As I said, that's been one of the most painful APIs for me to integrate in the past, simply because of the amount of time it can take. All right, now that we've defined that, as I mentioned, we want to see who our users are, right? When I click on the users panel, you can see that I've registered and used Google as my authentication 3 minutes ago. What I want to do is make myself an admin. So the first step I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this button and see this field where it says user ID, right? That's the exact thing that I'm going to need to copy and then go over to the database. And in most cases, when you register, a profile will be assigned to you if you specified you wanted that. But more importantly, when you have user roles as a requirement, the system will, as you can see, create a user roles table in which you are supposed to define what role does the user have. So in this case, and as you can see with a simple search and find option, I was able to identify my account. Obviously, I'm the only account registered. So I'm just going to switch my role from user to admin like this. And that should grant me the admin role immediately, right? I don't have any indication that whether I'm an admin or not in the UI. That's not been built in yet. For now, all I wanted to do is show you where can you find your users, find their information, understand whether they've confirmed their emails or not, like all of the details about their accounts, find their user IDs, and then inside the database, if you have user roles configured, understand which roles are being automatically assigned and how, and what user holds what kind of a role in your system, right? When you're done, you just go back to the overview, and we're going to talk about this again in much more depth tomorrow. For now, as I said, we're authenticated. I can always sign out and then sign back in my case, using Google, because I've already done that in the past. If the system doesn't forward you or the user directly to the main landing page, if you don't proceed from login, it's just a quick fix where you say to Lovable that after logging in, you want the users to be forwarded to the app dashboard. When the user is authenticated, I want to send them directly to the app dashboard, which is located on the index page at this point. Yeah, and Lovable should indeed do that. If, again, you're not navigated there automatically while you're in the process of working through things, all you have to do is just go back and navigate there by yourself. There's also this admin panel that was built in by Lovable that I now can access and see all level controls because I've given myself the admin position. I haven't defined what I want admins to see versus what I don't want moderators to see, but that's something that can be done later down the road. For now, all that you have to know is that you can assign and should assign user roles immediately. If you need to add authentication to your system, add it immediately. The sooner you do this process, the better for the scale of your project, simply because from my prior experience, if you try to add these things later down the road, the agent may not always implement them the way that you would originally want to. So implement this as a part of your initial plan and as a part of your initial build. And again, remember, one part of the sharing process is definitely about publishing your app. The other is about inviting people to collaborate. But the most important one, where your users are provided access to your app, should be controlled by implementing authentication. And with authentication, based on your wants and your needs, different levels of user and access control. I hope you like this lesson. There are a couple of resources here that you can look through. If you want to set up your Google Auth, you can find that in resources. If you want to know more about working with collaborators, you can do that as well. I will see you tomorrow, where we're going to talk more about the database configuration and backend as the main function of your application. See you tomorrow.